welcome to the Moviescramble podcast. This is a spooky special for Halloween, so you are joined by Scary Mary. And I can't even think of something that rhymes with Simmy that's not impolite, so I'll just go for Scary Simmy as well. John is currently living his best life, wearing a smoking jacket, playing chess and reading leather-bound book on holiday, so it is just Simmy and I that are here for your listening pleasure. Simmy, how are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. It's always good to be on a podcast with the second best looking person in Moviescramble. And before anybody thinks of me analysis,
I thought I was third.
I'm third. John's first, let's be honest.
Yeah, John, he has the looks and the brains. I mean, some people do genuinely get all of the luck.
And basically, it's like as Mary said, John's not with us today. I don't think John's not with us. Look, something happened. But John's not with us today because he's on holiday. It's basically like the inmates run the asylum today, basically, which is suitable for Halloween, I suppose.
Yeah, it's very, very on trend to have us. Me, the shite bag doesn't watch any horror, and you, the horror expert, but both of us operating out of the same brain cell, which I think is quite nice.
And it's crowded as it is in there.
Yeah, it's and that last one's struggling. It's had one too many knocks, and it's just about sparked out at the moment. So, but yes, on our spooky special, we are going to be discussing the film Cobweb, which had a limited release, I think it's fair to say, in UK cinemas, and bizarrely came out in July, which I don't understand because it seems like perfect October fodder. It's the feature-length debut from director Samuel Bowden, and it's a sort of low-budget indie horror, which combines a lot of psychological scares with a lot of different horror tropes, and is a neat little 90-minute scare for you during the spooky season. The film centres around Peter, who is played by Woody Norman, and he is an only child who's sort of kept in his room all of the time. He's really badly bullied at school, and his bizarrely cold and distant parents, played by Anthony Starr and Lizzie Kaplan, dismiss all of his cries for help. So whether he's waking up in the night from really bad dreams or producing quite disturbing artwork in school, they're simply saying that, you're special and we love you. So one night he begins to hear a knock from inside his bedroom wall, and that knock slowly becomes a voice, and that voice claims to be his sister, who has been banished to live inside the walls of their house. But the way the film's sort of set up, you're not sure if the voice is actually there, or if it is there, does it have Peter's best interests at heart? So it's definitely one for people who like their sort of creepy kids, creature features, scary, voices coming from inside the house sort of thing. Simmy, what were your thoughts when you first started watching Cobweb?
I mean, this is a film that I went into with very little knowledge. I saw some hype about it on social media. I saw Anthony Starr was in it. Thought, it could be quite interesting. And when it started, I thought, okay, I'm quite liking the vibe of it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be a more polished studio film or more like an indie creepy feel to it. And I was very surprised by how unnerved I was as the film was going on. And like I said, I didn't read up on it. I didn't check out the plot of that, so I had no idea what was going to happen, and just found it very unsettling.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You and John obviously recommended it to me. I was a bit apprehensive because of its title, and I thought it was going to be full of spiders, which I am not good with, but I was pleasantly surprised for the first hour or so about how creepy, tense, unsettling it was. I definitely think that it's a film that sort of sets out to really get under your skin and set you off in a few different directions, and I think it kind of succeeds in that, because from what I observed, it's quite a mishmash of genres, and I mean mishmash in the sort of nicest possible way. It's got, a monster movie, a home invasion, the sort of psychologically unbalanced mother. How did you feel about the combination of all of these things? Because you are a sort of horror expert. You've seen every sequel known to mankind. How did you feel about having all of the tropes?
But that was a thing. It wasn't until the film was over I realised that it did have all these kind of different tropes and genres. Not even overlapping. They were sort of bleeding into each other in a crossover way, as opposed to maybe at the same time. So it starts off with the kind of creepy, then you've got the psychological part, then this haunted house element of it sort of come in, and then you see the whole invasion, the creature feature. And for me, it worked really well because it wasn't just throwing everything into a blender and seeing what worked. I throwing it against the dartboard even and seeing it stuck. It made sense to me for the plot. The plot carried these genres. The genres carried the plot where we look at it, and it really subverted the expectations because it kept you guessing. I don't mean in a M. Night Shyamalan twist type of way. More in the sort of way as, okay, here's what's going to happen. Okay, no, I didn't see that happen. Okay, where is this? I'm constantly watching the film going, where's this going to go? How did they come back from that? Okay, and that just made it even more and more unsettling. And
I completely agree. I think that it does set you off in a few different directions, but also Peter is not exactly a reliable narrator because we're so used to this whole creepy kid trope in horror films. So you're kind of looking at him, and his parents are, don't get me wrong, his parents are not model parents by any means, but they're so insistent that this is all in his head. So you do kind of go, is this kid, is it the kid that's disturbed or what? So there's so many misdirections that it sends you off in, that you're right, it's not a blended approach. It does seem to actually follow through on a lot of the ideas that it kind of starts to unpick.
Yeah, there's even just like you never really kind of get a grip on what's going on, and then the kid's getting bullied and he fights back and maybe a bit over the top. That's not, I thought it was fine, but some people could argue maybe it was a bit over the top and he's fight back. You got the scene when Anthony Starr's taking him out of the pumpkin patch, sort of burying things, and Lizzie Caplan's great as well, and they're just like they're sitting on family dinner and things like that, and everything about it is just very, very unsettling, and you keep thinking, where's this going to go? And it takes some really interesting turns, but they're not like big, oh my god, I didn't see that coming twist, because you can see it going towards it, and that made it even worse. Rather than having this big jump scare type thing to make you, there's a scene towards the third act, and you know it's coming because it's set it up earlier on in the film. Chekhov's gun idea, so to speak. And and you're watching it going, oh no, oh my god, and you think, okay, so where's it going to go now? What? And it just, you keep expecting it to play out to a conclusion that you're used to in films, let alone horror films, and it doesn't do that.
That's what I thought was really interesting.
We're not going to play by the rules.
It is played by the rules in the sense that there are all these very familiar tropes, and that almost in a way is like the safe space, as it were, because you kind of feel like, oh, well, I know where this is going. But then every time you think you're getting to grips with it, it's just like, fuck it, and then it takes you off in a completely different direction.
Yeah, pretty much. And the whole idea is that, we're going to play by the rules, but we're also setting the conditions of these rules. It's almost like Animal Farm to the extent of all animals are equal, but some more equal than others. There's always like, with this films that, you've got the creepy bit with this, and that. But you didn't account for that happening because that's not what usually happens in these sort of films. And you're watching it going, well, I'm liking the fact that it's doing something different, but I don't feel well watching this. That's the point. That's the point, isn't it? You get some.
I think I might have actually said that exact sentence out loud while someone was watching it. Yeah.
You watch some horror films and you're just like, this is fun. This is like a roller coaster. It's the haunted house in a theme park attraction type thing, and that's perfectly fine. This isn't a film that really lets you settle to then get jump and then laugh at people because you got jumped to a cat jumping or whatever. It just leaves you feeling really cold. I thought.
I completely agree. And I think part of that was, and again, so this is going to make it sound cheesy the way I describe it, but it's absolutely not. So the colour palette of the film is extremely cold. It's like browns and greys, and sometimes it's so dark you actually can't see. But it's not a cliche because it's October in a small town in what seems like sort of rural America. So the palette actually works for the season that the film is set in. But equally, like I'm watching it and I'm thinking this is a film that's really about sort of loneliness in a way, because this is three people in a house that don't actually have any relationship with each other. The parents are kind of not able to communicate with their son. The mother seems to be constantly on the brink of a nervous breakdown, and the father has barely concealable murderous rage, but that might just be Tony Starr. Like, I feel like that's just the vibe that he gives. So but it is a film where I think when you start off, you're like, you don't like the word elevated horror, I get that. But I was sort of wondering if it was going to go down a route of, this is actually a sort of, like ponderings on what it's like to feel loneliness, and that this horrible sort of drab weather's really drawn you in, and the colour palette's really, all her costumes were all like brown and black, and there was just no joy in it. But again, it's also playing with that, because it's not that either, which really kind of shocked me, because I thought, again, it was going one way, and actually it's like, it really messes around with you as a viewer, I think.
It really does, and it does so for me very cleverly, because the whole time it did keep me engrossed, and it didn't really kind of let up the tension for that uneasiness. And there's a scene when the teacher goes to the house to check on him, checking the kid. His mum's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Then the dad comes in and he's got the cut and stuff. And you just keep thinking, get out this house. Get out this
Honestly,
house.
See when he just brushed past the back of her chair and you realise that he's actually holding a hammer in his hand, I was like, oh my God, her head's getting caved in. She's getting her head caved in. It was so well done. Like, the tension was unbearable.
And he, you mentioned before, Tony Stark. I don't like the Catelyn, both of them were brilliant in this, I thought. And that scene in particular, again, that's what you're saying, there's so many different horror elements at play here. And for that moment, that psychological horror really drove home. And there's that unbearable tension of, she's going to get murdered here. Because it was a kid, the kid's been locked downstairs with the basement. And she's going to hear something. And he's going to, you're just waiting for it. You're just like, please get out of the house, please get out of the house, please get out. Otherwise, it's horrible. And that's the thing. This is not a film that once you come out of cinema going, yeah, I quite enjoyed that. This is a film that once you go, Jesus Christ, I don't feel good.
Yeah, although again, the song over the title credits, and I can't remember what it is, but it's just like boppy sort of like kind of 19, and it's like it doesn't even go with the film. But again, it's just that really playing with your emotions. But I think it, for me, and we'll get onto this, I do think the film sort of falls apart slightly in the last like 20 minutes or so. But what I was completely held by the whole time was the performances. So you've got, as I say, Anthony Starr, Lizzie Kaplan, and Woody Norman, obviously, is their son. Obviously, I think with Anthony Starr, I sort of forever see him as Homelander now, despite the fact that he does have a career doing other things. But how did they sort of drive it for you? Because I definitely feel like they each brought a very different style of acting to the film, which again is interesting.
Definitely. And I don't want to say Lizzie Kaplan was over the top, because she wasn't. But it was almost like she was a pressure pot with a lid on it. And that her acting was dying to explode, but she had to keep everything quite composed. Whereas Tony Stark, as you summed up perfectly, it just had this aura of murderous rage. It was almost like he was walking about the entire film tensed up.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Like, and I think he, as an actor, or whatever you're watching him as an actor, you do physically tense up watching him, because he is just rippling with, I don't know, this just venom or violence, or whatever, and it's so palpable. And then you've got Lizzie Kaplan, who I kind of thought she reminded me of sort of like 1950s sort of kind of B-movie performances. She's delivering this sort of, she's got a tray full of cupcakes and she's smiling, but her eyes are full of tears. And she's like, we love you. And it's all this over the top, as you say, this over the top delivery. But again, when you contrast her against Tony Stark, I mean, it's incredible what they've done performance-wise.
It is, and it's like, that over the top. So she's kind of over the top. He's more kind of nuanced, but he's almost like keeping her anchored before it going silly. So we see, we talk about over the top. It's not like a over the top in a like dramatic way. It's with a different actor across from her, that performance could be a lot more wild, but they balance out. They kind of keep each other in check to an extent. It's weird. It's just
no, I totally get that.
They've got a very strange chemistry. It's a very strange chemistry they have.
Because for me, I was thinking, what are these two people actually doing together? They don't seem like a couple, and they also don't seem like they have any sort of parental, I was going to say urges, I don't know what the word is, but like any sort of like parental sense of responsibility or love or whatever, or nurturing. But in a way, especially in that scene with the teacher, it's like, oh, he's there so she doesn't give the game away. Because you are led down this path where, seeing it through Peter's eyes, his parents are the villains of the piece, because they are so cold and aloof, and their punishments are very, very extreme. And not necessarily violent, but very dehumanizing, I guess, for him as a small child. He is seen as an inconvenience to them, I think.
Yeah, dehumanizing and traumatizing. They treat him almost like, and inconvenience is a good word. This isn't somebody who they seem quite happy to have as a child and a loving and nurturing, and just as a kid they just happen to have. And you see, Lizzie Carroll does try to be more kind of maternal in that, but she's almost like scared. And you think it's she's obviously scared of her husband, blah blah blah. But there's clearly more going on than we realise. And this is not a spoiler, mind you, but the scene where he wakes up in his bed, the kid wakes up in his bed, and his dad's in the corner and his mum's in the hallway. And the dad,
do not, because that was the first time my soul left my body. Because I mean, this is going to sound like a weird statement, but never ever do I want to wake up in the middle of the night and Anthony Starr's standing at the end of my fucking bed, right? That made me shit myself. And the thing is, and you've said it, it's not a film of jump scares. It's absolutely not. It's a film of sort of simmering tension. But that was the first time where I was like, oh fuck, because again, you're not sure, is it a dream? Is it one of Peter's, is this kid hallucinating? Is this kid, mentally unwell and needs support? But because his parents are so bad or whatever, this is how his dreams are playing out. It was the first time I really sat up and was like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it is a film that constantly has you questioning what is going on without it being confusing. It's not like it's this crazy, surreal, Bo's not afraid type idea film. It's just very much a kind of like...
Yeah, it's that kind of way. It subverts expectations, makes you feel uncomfortable, but not in the way of, oh, well, I want to turn us off uncomfortable. It's like it's equivalent if you walked in a dark corridor when you know you should be turning back, but you keep moving forward because the curiosity of what's on the other side of the door's going to get you. That's what a film felt to me. There's so many times you're thinking, just go, like to the characters, leave the rest of X, Y, and Z, but they keep going back to that house. The camera keeps going back to that house. The film keeps going back to that house, and you're like, go somewhere else.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the case of the Cleopatra Coleman character. Obviously, she plays Peter's teacher, and she's a sub. So in a way, you're like, why are you so emotionally invested in this kid? But it's because she obviously, I don't know, kind of sees this sort of darkness around him, and obviously he's painting creepy pictures and in school, and then she goes to the house the first time, and you're like, okay, that was weird. As you say, don't go back there. And then the second time she goes, you are like, you are willing her through the screen to get the fuck out of there, because you've already seen the basement with the chain and the sort of well structure that they've got, which is just the gap in the floor, and obviously all the cobwebs everywhere, and the fact that he's trapped there behind it's not even just like they've put him in a punishment, like on a naughty step or in his bedroom. This child is down the stairs in a locked basement behind the fridge. Like, it's such an extreme thing, and she's in that house, and there's very much this sense of like she's intruding on something, because they're as a family, they're always talking about, keeping things between the three of them and all that. But again, you don't get the family dynamic. It's just three people existing in a house. A fucking weird house. I mean, as soon as the camera sort of pans around it and you're like, oh, lots of dark woods, the wallpaper is a bit faded and peeling and everything creaks. No, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, no, you could have got too much spoiler territory. I'll jump ahead, get into the fun back end. But there's kind of the home invasion part. These are usually the parts of the film and you're like, excellent, these guys are going to get what they deserve. But you're watching it going, I don't know if they deserve this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So again, it was like one of these things where the parents are all obviously, I can't even describe the relationship. It's so weird. They're so cold. And then you've got the little shits from school who are obviously really bullying Peter, and he's getting tripped up every day and he's got a bloody face every day. But yeah, as it moves into that home invasion territory, you're just like, I mean, apart from the wee shit who was genuinely bullying him, what the fuck did those other guys do? And they're obviously, as I think we'll come on to it, but yeah, I think what struck me as well is that as much as Peter is obviously a very sympathetic character, and that his home life and his school life are both equally shit, so there's no sort of release for him, he still creeped me out.
Aye, you get to that point you're thinking, Who am I supposed to be rooting for this film?
Yeah, there is no one to root for. No one. Not even the voice on the wall.
And sometimes that's fine.
Yeah, well, I think it's a film, again, we've obviously said a million times about subverting expectations. I think it's a film where actually it doesn't want you necessarily to be able to place yourself in the position of any one of the characters. It's just sort of letting it unfold in front of you and you get to witness the horror, quite literally. I don't think it's making you come down on one side or the other or particularly like a character because, as I say, whilst Peter is obviously getting tripped up and stuff at school and having a really bad time, what he does as revenge for that makes you then doubt him as a character. You're like, oh, maybe he's just like his dad. There's clearly a violence there. So yeah, it plays into the sort of creepy sort of demon child trope, but at the same time he's also not.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was listening to something the other day. It was Tarantino talking about Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying
controversial, two controversial things in one podcast.
He was saying unless you've watched that film in the theatre, you've not seen the film. And he was saying, and I think by the point of 4 years later, where I can talk Joker spoilers, the talk show scene when he shoots Robert De Niro. Mm-hmm. He was saying when he's watching the film, he thought it was all right, but it was getting it. And then when that scene happened, that's when it changed for him. He said the atmosphere in the audience changed where you're watching it going, I want Joaquin Phoenix to kill Robert De Niro here. Mm-hmm. Even though De Niro doesn't deserve it. He's not done anything that bad. He's a bit of a dick, but he doesn't deserve to be shot in the face in live TV. But you want it to happen because... Yeah. And it's almost like that film as well, the home invasion part, you're thinking, yeah, well, they don't deserve it, but at the same time, you're like, but I do want it to happen.
Yeah, I think, and that's what's unsettling as well, because it obviously sort of produces that thought within you as a viewer where you're kind of egging it on to a certain conclusion, and actually that's not the way normal, rational, non-Cobweb viewing you would think. But again, it definitely sort of, because I think for me, I love a monster movie. I absolutely do. But I feel like I would have been disappointed in a way if this would have been like a sort of, friendly monster helps young lonely boy escape his abusive parents sort of situation.
Do you know what that actually reminded me a wee bit of? Again, no spoiler, but people could probably sorry, but Let Me In. I love that one and everyone you've seen.
Yeah.
It was almost that kind of idea, and it reminded me a bit of the things is in that film. No, the spoilers. There's a hell of a violent, brutal scene where the boys get to come up and you can like, that really necessary? But at the same time, you want it to happen.
Yeah, in that sense, it reminds me of Barbarian, which John and I podded, and it's actually shot in Sofia as well, so you can see a lot of similarities even in the sort of the third act, the way that unfolds. But Barbarian for me was like a masterclass in tension for that first act between Bill Skarsgård and so that absolutely just burst me for how tense it was and how I was waiting for something to happen. And then it leads you on to obviously a very completely different type of movie. But again, and this is a spoiler, but the similarities lie in that in Barbarian and in this, I would argue, initially you're supposed to feel sorry for the creature because the creature keeps telling Peter, I've been put in the wall because your mum and dad didn't love me anymore and all that. I mean, it's some pretty fucked up shit to be telling an already fucked up child that if you don't please your parents, you're going to end up in the wall just like me. And to that extent, that's where you are going, okay, they are the bad guys. The creature's telling the truth.
And I think that's the thing with this film as well. It's there's clear evil in Cobweb. It's inexplicable. It just exists as evil, and there's plenty to go around. Really,
yeah. I think apart from the teacher character, there's nobody.
She's all right.
And she's concerned.
She probably punches dogs in her spare time.
Oh my god, that'll be the sequel. Just a picture that it'll open with her just fucking laying into a dog at the side of the road somewhere. We're going to move into spoiler territory now. So if you haven't seen the film, I was going to say look away now, but turn the podcast off.
5-second warning.
Actually, we're now going to talk about spoilers. So this obviously is a creature feature. So what did you think of the big reveal? Because obviously, I would say about the first hour or so, you are only hearing this very slightly creepy childlike voice come from inside the wall. How did you feel when he finally sort of let the monster out, as it were?
The bit of mine, I did like it, and it didn't bother me. And it reminded me of seeing the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode with
I've seen
Hugo.
quite a lot of them.
With Hugo.
What?
Hugo, when Bart
don't
finds he's
remember
got a evil twin in the loft.
Yes.
Fish heads and stuff like that. And that's what it reminded me. And so I couldn't get that out of my head, unfortunately. But again, it was that kind of like, whoa, so we're doing this now. It kind of went from being very subjective and suggested to shotgun blast in the face.
Yeah, it literally, it was like quite, emotional whiplash or whatever. It went from being one type of film to another very, very quickly, I thought. The reveal for me, so there was elements of Hereditary, I think. See the bit where she's obviously on the wall behind him and you're like, oh, fuck, that's moving. But as someone who cannot, to this day, watch the spider crawl down the stairs in The Exorcist because the bodily movements make me feel so fucking ill, the last half hour of this film was very, very traumatic for me. I was not expecting, and I should have, because the fucking film's called Cobweb, but I was not expecting that at all.
And that's the thing for a film that was very kind of subtle in how it played things out and its influences in that. It does seem at the end of this, right? Hereditary, but you got Barbarian, and you got some bit of the Ring in there as well. And I did like it though, because I just loved that home invasion bit when she went mental and she's just
that really
on everybody because ages.
Yeah. She was taking them out real fucking slowly and she was enjoying it. So to give you context, if you're still listening, Peter's bully from school gathers a bunch of his friends and they decide to break into Peter's house on Halloween, wearing Halloween masks. But by this point, Peter has let the monster out and she is fucking shit up. I mean, even just the scene before they get into the house and it's obvious that Peter has poisoned his parents. See that spew? Even that went on for way longer than anticipated.
But it's the fact that you're sitting there and Anthony Starr's going, this is quite nice. You've done something different there. And then you there's at one point you click. It says, that's that bit. And you go,
it smells like cinnamon.
You're like, oh, fuck, no. Yeah. You realise he's just playing me his food. And I'm like, and that scene goes on for a while.
But the thing is, you think he's playing with his food because he's this abused child. Yes. Like, so it sets it up so perfectly. So it's not that he's playing with his food and you immediately go, he's not eating, he's done something. You're like, that's an abused child. He doesn't like his mum's cooking, but blah, 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 whatever it is. And then, as I say, he says, it smells like cinnamon. And you're just like,
which is a callback to earlier in the film. Yeah. Poison, and you're just like, the breath kind of left me. I went, oh my god! But at this point, I'm still thinking, okay, maybe his parents are still evil, but something's got to be dodgy. There's got to be some more twist to this thing. I just didn't expect the creature to come out and just be like the embodiment of evil. I expected a bit of kind of vengeance, a bit of kind of like, as you say, that sympathy's gone at this point. Because she's. And
I also, if what the creature is telling Peter is true, and that she is the deformed, neglected child of the two parents, you're thinking, do you know what? If she goes after them, fair enough. But when it gets to the, Peter's bully and his 3 assorted friends, what the fuck? Like, that was just pure bloodshed for the sake of it. And I don't even... The thing is, again, it's very ambiguous. It doesn't really make it clear whether or not Peter thinks that's okay.
I know. And that's the thing. It doesn't... There's a lot of more ambiguity with Peter. I mean, he kills his parents. It's fucking nuts. Yeah. Even the way the film ends and you're just not really sure where Peter is. If there's like a sequel to this film, where is Peter's head?
So that's what I was going to ask you, because I feel like it does kind of set it up for a sequel, but then where does it go from there? Because I feel like it's reached 11. Do you know what I mean? It's gone from 0 to 11 very quickly, and where does that go next? Because Peter, as you say, there's a lot of ambiguity morally around him as a character as well.
I mean, I don't think did great numbers at the box office, so the idea of instant
probably because it came out in fucking July.
Which is weird. absolutely weird. Which did surprise me was that the film didn't get very good reviews. This seems like the sort of film the critics would have lapped up, maybe put A24 in front of the title, and people would have liked it more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
hashtag elevated.
Actually, regarding that, this is all kind of linked. I saw a quote earlier from John Carpenter in an interview.
Oh, really?
And I don't know who did an interview, but I found it earlier. It said, shifting gears slightly, are you familiar with the phrase elevated horror? John Carpenter. I don't know what that means. I mean, I can guess what it means, but I don't really know. Well, people usually use it to refer to A24's movies. Horror that's very heavy and metaphorical. Hereditary, Midsummer. Movies like that. He replied, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Burn! Oh, that is brittle! That is brittle!
We have had that. And I don't think he's having a dig at the films in that aspect. I think it's more the idea, this elevated horror idea, which we've discussed many, many times.
Yeah.
I hate the term because it's almost a way for people to say, well, horror's shit, but I like this horror, which is better
it's
than
a snobbery, and that's why, as much as I say, this film did fall apart for me once the monster appeared, just for some practical effect reasons, and also because I felt like it undid all the previous tension anyway. But I do feel like, in a way, it is a bit of a pastiche on elevated horror, because it's very much, it knows what it's doing. It's doing those sort of, what was it? There was a line, it's when Anthony Starr takes the wee boy out to discuss the rat poison, and he initially says to him, it smells like cinnamon, and he says, but sometimes, the sweet things are bad for you. And it is obviously taking the piss out of subtext-laden dialogue, but it's so fucking brilliant the way it's done. It's so well executed, because, again, he's delivering the line seriously. He's not sort of doing like a nudge wink. It's very much like he is scary while he's saying it.
No moustache twirling by Tony Starr. There's no moustache twirling.
No. Get that guy a comedy. Seriously.
Get him a massage or something. Just get him
Tony, we're sensing a lot of tension. I mean, the thing is, I obviously don't know what he's like to work with on a set and anything like that. Why would I? But I imagine that even if you were just like a runner or something, you would see him doing his thing, and you would just shit yourself. Like, there's something so scary about just the way it's the jaw thing in particular, because you can actually see all the muscles in his face ripple when he clenches his jaw, and then, as you say, the way he just holds himself, like, did need some like anger management therapy or something.
Remember that thing to try to cancel him because he was rude to like a waiter or something on holiday?
No, he glassed someone. It was slightly more than being rude to someone. This wasn't like he didn't leave a tip, like he fucking glassed someone.
Right, so I thought there was something with this with the waiter, kind of a James Corden type thing, and I thought, well, being Anthony Starr and being totally like totally tense all the time, it made it worse than it was. But fair play, I didn't realise just last Sunday. Yeah,
allegedly, obviously. It's not going to court yet, so yeah, I can't remember what I was saying there. I'm absolutely so thrown by the fact that you thought he was just like really rude. Oh god, right? Yeah, okay. I know what I'm saying. So I do think it falls apart in the third act. And you can disagree with me if you want, but I do think that it does, as I say, a really good job of being a sort of pastiche of all this elevated horror in inverted commas. And it does lead you down the path, think, maybe this is an allegory for such and such, or maybe this is about, what happens when you basically abuse a child, and is it nature versus nurture and all this sort of thing. And it does lead you down all these different routes where you think it's a certain type of movie, all of which I thoroughly enjoyed. However, just due to the fact that the practical effects weren't brilliant, there's a couple of scenes where you're just like, oh, this looks so ropey or so CGI'd in that there's no way this feels genuine. And the fact that it did seem to go from nothing to batshit in the space of, a couple of lines of dialogue, it kind of fell apart a wee bit for me, because I was enjoying the slow burn tension and the freaky scenes and all that sort of thing. But you were saying it worked for you.
Yeah. But I do agree with you. I do agree with your point. No, the only difference is I enjoyed it more than you, but I do agree with exactly what you're saying, because it did change the film completely in a way that it wasn't coming back from.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's the thing. There was always a coming back from the other stuff that it set up. This very much, obviously, it's very final. People were quite literally losing their heads. But this, for me, felt there was nothing, like from all the other stuff, it was just suggestions and it was just hints. There was definitely no going back from this, rampage.
Have you seen Malignant?
Who's in that? Is that the James Wan film?
Yeah.
No. Actually, is this the one that was quite divisive at the box office as well? Was it not?
Yeah, no, I didn't like it for many reasons, but it's a film I wouldn't tell people don't watch it. I would say please watch it so we can discuss it. And as a bit again, it's a kind of film that kind of keeps you guessing and stuff, and then you realise it's actually the plot of an already existing horror film, which is fucking hilarious. But and I don't want to say the films that ruins the twist.
Right? Okay.
But when it gets it's a bit in a police station cell, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to think watching this film anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a wee part of that watching this when it got to that third act, but a wee part of that reminded me. I said I enjoyed this a lot more overall as a film. I thought it was awful. I just didn't like it. But you do need to see it just for how mental it is. It's nuts.
Yeah, I did hear people saying it was like a camp horror film, like it is quite over the top. And I think the thing is, this is very over the top as well. So actually, I probably shouldn't be surprised that it ended up how it did. But it is the ending that a lot of critics who really didn't like it have pounced on, and not just for practical effects reasons, but because. And interestingly, I read a review earlier. I can't remember where it was from. It might have been Roger Ebert, but they hated the stuff that we actually really loved about it, which was the sort of mixed bag of horror tropes. And actually, I quite like the fact that you can't define this film as being like, a psychological horror or a monster movie or even a home invasion movie. Like, you actually can't define it as any of those things. But for some critics, the mixed bag of genres is an issue. But this isn't the first type of film to do something like this, though.
No, it's not. And
not just in horror. I mean, in general, this is not a film. It's not the only film that's, playing with the tropes.
I've not read the full reviews, so I can't be too critical on that. But
you will get depressed.
But my thoughts when it comes to a bad review of a film and a badly written review of a film. There's a massive difference in that, and it's the latter that I will always have an issue with. It's that famous one regarding the house, not the house in Haunted Hill, the Haunted Hill house. Was it that? It was a Haunted. I think it was a Haunted Hill house. Why did Mike Flanagan ones anyway? And they go with 2 stars or something, and the review opened with, "I don't like horror."
Okay, why are you reviewing this then?
I'm not saying that's the case all the time type thing, but like I say, I haven't read the reviews of this. I've read wee snippets. I agree with what I've read overall, but I do understand why people didn't like the third act. I do. I can get that. I'd like to watch it again and see the benefit of hindsight we do.
Then, I mean, I only watched this the other weekend in the daylight because I am a shite bag. But I actually would watch this again, and I would recommend it to people. I think that's I can say that, it does sort of fall apart for me in the last 20 minutes or so, but that wouldn't stop me from recommending it to someone, because I think what it does well, it does so well that it's absolutely worth the watch.
And it's a short film as well, so it's maybe 90 minutes long. So whether you don't like the third act, it's probably as long as 20 minutes when you think about it. It's probably
not. I know I'm saying 20 minutes because I'm or 30 minutes because I'm saying third act, and I'm quite literally dividing the film up, but it's probably not.
You're thinking about a 2-hour film, you just automatically account it, but it's probably not even as long as that, and it doesn't drag in either. It's quite a tight film. Nothing's really wasted. I suppose the thing when it comes to the reveal at the end, it's the whole Jaws argument, isn't it? Maybe things are scarier when you don't see it.
Yeah.
It's like Jaws is a much more terrifying horror film when you don't see the shark. Because when you do see the shark, you're like, that was a bit shite. But in this, regardless how terrifying something is, when you keep it hidden for so long and reveal it, is it ever going to live up to the expectations?
Probably not. I think that's the thing. Because in my head, and again, I don't know why I didn't join the dots, because it is a film called Cobweb, but I spent the whole film thinking that it's like a little girl trapped in the wall, and obviously she said she was like, they rejected her, so I was thinking, was she sort of physically imperfect, or what was it they rejected her for? did she not behave the way they wanted her to? Because obviously they're very much into their behavioural conditioning with Peter as a character. So I thought maybe she was sort of punished or whatever. And when the monster does emerge, and it's not even like the monster then went on to have the little girl's voice or anything. It was just like the monster had been lying all along, which in itself is another misdirection, and I do get that. But I just think that, yeah, some of the rendering wasn't great. However, and I said this to you both, the draping of the long hair, which obviously is just one big cobweb, which is full of baby spiders, scared the shite out of me. And as you know, I fell asleep and I woke up and my hair had draped across my face and I screamed the fucking house down. Like, I cannot tell you how much I thought I was going to have my head ripped off my body by some fucking woman spider living up my wall. But I actually thought that element of the monster, that sort of slow drag of the hair,
oh yeah, it was horrible,
worked a lot better than the actual monster itself.
Yeah, and the monster itself is for what it was. I liked it because of familiarity of the ring in that Japanese culture of the long-haired demon girl type thing, which we've seen a million times since. Never gets any less scary, let's be honest.
No, it does not. No.
So I liked it for that familiarity, but also at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to say it felt cheap because that sounds harsh, but that was a time it, to me, did feel a wee bit out of step.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't deny it. What? Because I did like the fact of the hair kind of around the corner and things like that. That worked really well. Yeah,
because I think so it's the unseen threat, because you can see the hair moving around the corner, but you have no idea where the body is.
Yeah, the hair's almost like the shark's fin.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
The barrels, it's like it's that suggestion the danger's coming, but you can't see the danger, which to me worked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I like the fact that right up until the end, you've got Peter hiding under his bed, and you're like, well, is Peter worried that this potential spider sister of his is going to eat him? But then he seems to sort of enjoy the fact that, his bullies are getting their comeuppance. So it leaves you, as much as the third act is very clear in its intention, it does still leave you guessing as to, and as I said, it potentially sets up for a sequel. Whether or not we need a Cobweb universe is probably another debate. But I know you do love a part 14, so you'd probably still be watching it.
I mean, yeah, I'd go see the second one of this if it came out. Although, I'll give any sequel a chance because I think some of the greatest films ever made are sequels, let's be honest. They get a bad rap. I don't know if a sequel to this would work, personally, because I can't see where else it would go.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And as I say, I feel like this film would have performed better had it been released in October, but perhaps even the July release date has killed off any prospect of expanding this sort of outwards. But I will say that I think it's a really impressive feature-length debut from the director, Samuel Bowden, and that the writer, whose name is Chris Thomas Devlin, I thought did a very, very good job with the script. As I say, what this film does well, it does extremely, extremely well. And I absolutely do think it's worth a watch. What about you, Simmy? Would you recommend this? I know you said you want to watch it again.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's worth mentioning as well because we'll talk about the script. This was originally an unsolicited script that was submitted to the Blacklist and the Bloodlist. The Bloodlist is the kind of spin off of the Blacklist in terms of it's a website you can submit unsolicited scripts to. It's a lottery basically you getting picked, but this film was not. It didn't go through the Hollywood system in the same way, and maybe that's why it got away with a lot more in terms of what it was doing. It's going to go through rewrites and that for the film, but yeah, this was a guy that's in 2018, so it's not even like he was watching Barbarian and stuff and got influenced by it.
So that's bizarre because it does have extremely strong parallels, for me anyway, with Barbarian, and yet obviously it's from years ago. That's fascinating, actually. Fair play. That's brilliant. That again, I like these sort of little stories where it's almost like little guy coming through, as it were, because actually that it's not a studio film. And again, that's why I would almost encourage people to see it, not just because it's not a studio film and it's not part of the machine, although that is a big part of it right now. Obviously, with things going the way they are, the more smaller studio films you can support, the better.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. So I would definitely say that Cobweb is a recommend from me, and in fact I do kind of want to rewatch it now that we've talked about it. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on? Is it a recommend from you? What was your standout scene in the entire film?
Oh, my standout scene in the scene when the teacher goes to the house.
Yeah, I would wholeheartly agree. It was a toss-up between that and his really bad dream about his weird parents.
It's like those two scenes I can't even, because they affected me so differently.
Yeah.
So I'm exactly agreement. Yeah, toss up why the two. It's just, oh God, I want to see it again.
I think it definitely is a film that, and it's funny because you're saying both those scenes affected you very differently. I do think it's a film that takes you through the roller coaster ride of emotions, and not necessarily the ones you'd maybe expect going into it. I think that if, unlike me, you did pay attention to the title of the film and you're expecting some sort of like arachnophobic hellscape, it's probably not the film that you think you're going to get, but that's definitely why it works for me.
It's worth noting as well, but Seth Rogen produced this.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I've not done my homework.
Yeah,
Has he produced horror before, or is this brand new?
That's what I'm thinking, because I'm getting mixed up with Dynamite Bride, who obviously was involved with the Halloween films. And he was involved with the new Exorcist as well.
Which is kind of getting panned, isn't it?
I think it is. I quite liked it, but that's a story for another time.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't surprise me when I'm reading, if I read horror reviews and everyone's like, yeah, this film is shit, guarantee. Sammy, what do you think? Oh, I loved it. We need a part 14 now.
Why not? I'm all about the part 14, baby.
So I'm not sure where you can watch Cobweb at the moment, because I don't believe it's on any of the streamers, but I suspect it is one of these films that's going to end up on Shudder or maybe Amazon Prime or something like that, I would assume.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling it's going to be on Shudder sometime soon, or like Netflix or that. I mean, I'd be amazed if you can't rent it at this point.
Yeah. And as I say, I do feel bad for its bizarre summer release date, because I think a lot more people would be talking about it right now had it been released in this particular month. Because again, it's not a big studio film, so it could have done the whole press tour, TV appearances, all that sort of thing. It could have got away with that because it wouldn't fall under SAG-AFTRA rules. So
yeah, but it's a summer movie for some reason, and it's suffered, in my opinion, for it.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking now, I'm pretty sure Barbarian came out, and this is the one film I keep going back to because it's visually very, very similar. I'm pretty sure it came out in October, so I feel like this one's been done a disservice.
I'm sure I went to see it in October, and it was towards the end of its run, so yeah, probably September, October it came out.
Yeah. So that is our thoughts on Cobweb. If you have seen it, we would love to hear what you think of it as well. We obviously would recommend. We think it's a little bit of a sleeper hit, and both of us are agreed that we would quite like to see it again. So what we thought we would do is give you some recommendations for some Halloween viewing for this year. I did put a tweet out, and I think 2 people have replied. My God. So I asked, what's your favourite scary movie? So we'll start off with you, Simmy. What would be your recommendation for some Halloween viewing this year?
See, you can imagine this has been tortured in me.
I was going to say, I imagine that you open a double door like pantry somewhere just full of horror goodies, and you're like, which one of my pretties will I select?
It really depends what you're looking for. In terms of new horror I've seen recently, I've really enjoyed. They will not. I can't remember the name now. They Will Not Save You.
Oh, I don't even know what that is. And news will surprise no one. 2
seconds. It's not called that. It's No One Will Save You. That's why No One Will Save You. It's it's on Disney Plus. It's a home invasion horror.
Oh, interesting.
But with an extraterrestrial twist. I don't mean twist at the end. I mean it's on a poster. It's plot. But it's got Caitlin Dever in it, who's great. Let's be honest. And yeah, this is a film that I right at the end, I'm not really too sure what the hell happens. I need to kind of think about that again. But
okay.
But the first, against another short film, it's barely 90 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
The first hour, particularly, it's so creepy.
In a psychological, get under your skin, really burnt, that kind of way.
The home invasion aspect of it is terrifying, and then you realise it's more than that, and the alien threat's bigger than you. It's pretty tense. But here's a real interesting thing about the film: there's hardly any dialogue.
Oh, see, I love stuff like that as well, though. That's quite cool because again, it lets the visuals do the sort of unsettling, as it were. There's not masses of dialogue in this. There's very sort of pregnant pauses between the "not everything that's sweet is good for you" sort of lines in this. It enjoys the kind of silence, as it were.
It's because the main character spends a lot of the film herself. She's not got anybody to speak to.
Right, interesting.
So it's it's on Disney Plus. No One Will Save You. I would recommend it.
Interesting. Well, John, obviously, as I say, is getting sunned by Jeeves somewhere else, but his recommendations are Talk to Me, which he says is the best horror of the year and an inventive spin on the possessed object horror. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my watch list of things I want to watch. Yeah, it does look good. I like the trailers for it, but the only thing that freaked me out is I'm not good when they do the things like where people's eyes go all scary and black, and it looks like that happened in the trailer, does it?
Yeah.
Might be a no from me then. He also said Ghost Ship from 2002. He said decent horror standard with Gabriel Byrne, but a very good opening scene. I remember the poster for that, but I didn't go and see it.
I have never seen Ghost Ship the whole way through. I've only ever seen the opening scene for some reason, and this is quite really bizarre. This is true. I used to work on Stockwell Street years ago in a record shop, and it's a crack chippy just up the road for it. I used to go all the time, and the guy in that, I would say I'm talking about films and that, and say, we'll watch Ghost Ship tonight. That's why everyone only listen to watch Ghost Ship. Fucking Ghost Ship. I've never seen anybody to love the film and watch this guy, but what a film I just need to see it. But he spoke about Ghost Ship the way people spoke about Citizen Kane. He loved this film.
It's so funny.
I might watch it tonight, actually. I might just put it on when we're done here. But John said it's on Prem, I'm going to put it on. That
is absolutely hysterical. I have a few recommendations that are quite left field. Well, not left field, but just not maybe what you'd be looking for Halloween. The first one that I thought of was a film, I don't think it's a Hammer horror, but I think it's Hammer adjacent. It stars Vincent Price and it's called Theatre of Blood.
Yes.
And it's about an aging actor who starts to bump off his critics in the way that characters in his plays have died. And it's a bit grotesque and a bit over the top, but also there's some sort of, janky 1970s delivery of lines and very much mustache twirling, which I quite enjoyed. A couple of French horrors that I like, especially romance and... Sorry. Go for it. I mean, it's Vincent Price with his purring voice and he's,
I love how good mustache twirl,
That's okay. A couple of French horrors I realised I'd watched and liked: Switchblade Romance and Martyrs. From cardboard sets and a Hammer horror adjacent to really fucking violent films.
I have still not seen Martyrs.
Oh, it'll be right up your street. It's extreme. You will feel sick. I mean, you might not actually. I feel sick.
I do not like Switchblade Romance or High Tension, I think it was originally called.
Yeah, why do you not like it? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some gaping plot holes wherein how it ends up could not fucking happen. But again, I think it's well executed.
I think the twist thinks it's really clever, but it's just stupid because it makes no sense.
Okay, I'll give you that. There's a scene in particular where somebody gets their head cut off of the stairs that I particularly enjoyed.
I was enjoying it. Is that say Alexandra Aja? Aja? You know what I'm talking about?
I won't. Yeah.
Aye.
I won't picture the surname.
I liked it up until the twist, to be honest with you, and it ruined the film. For no, I've not seen it in about 20 years, but maybe it's better on a rewatch. But I remember just thinking this doesn't make any sense because it's just like it felt like I've tried to be a clever twist for the sake of a clever twist, but it wasn't clever because it made no sense.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally get you. I just think it's a film that I just quite like. Again, almost like this one, sort of up until it flips. It does a really good job of what it's doing. But I also thought of quite a fun back-to-back that I think you would appreciate as well. I thought, how cool would it be to watch James Whale's 1933 Invisible Man and then follow it up with Lee Whannell's 2020? Because I know you love the 1933 one where he's like, let's start off with some murder and stuff like that. It's so camp.
I've still not seen that, and I love that quote.
Yeah, you would love it. You would love it.
I love that. Speaking, you just reminded me actually as well. I went to see recently Saw 10, and
Saw X, as I was calling it.
you're like, this is some sort of Wolverine spin off.
Why is there an X there? I don't understand it. Is it because they're X people? Because they're all dead? Fucking idiot.
To be fair though, how were you meant to know there was 9 films before it?
Honestly, I thought there was about 4 tops. Like, I'm genuinely shocked we're on Saw 10, but also not surprised.
What about the fact there's a spin-off called Spiral by Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson? That's just... See if I was telling you that, you think I'd made that up?
Oh, 100%, because I mean, that to me sounds like it's like a buddy cop comedy as opposed to a Saw spin-off. We did get some tweets in, so I'm just...
I'm going to go back to Saw 10 quickly. Now,
sure.
I done a rewatch of the Saw films before this one because they're on now TV, so I thought, yeah, I've got to do it. The first Saw film is still an absolute banger. It's a total classic. Anybody that say the sort of twist happening is lying because I don't see how you could have.
I don't know the twist, so...
Right. Please watch the first Saw. I know it's brutal and graphic and stuff like that. I think you'll like it. It's a great film.
Having said that, though, if you've seen Martyrs, I did survive that.
It's a very good point. And I've not seen Martyrs, but I do know it's fucking fucked. But most of the Saw sequels are not good. They're just not. Second one's really good. Third one's all right. Then it's just a dip really badly. And there's a reason for that. And it's a spoiler, mind you. If you watch the film, you'll see why they did.
Okay.
So they finished the Saw films with Saw 8. Mm-hmm. No, Saw 7. Sorry, Saw 7, the final chapter.
Right, but there's been 3 films since, presumably.
Yeah. Okay. It was a Friday the 13th final chapter. That was 4.
Fucking hell.
So
that's brilliant.
And bear in mind, they've been making like one a year at that point. Right.
Yeah, because that's it. Yeah, but I think that's how I maybe forgot, because I think they did come out one after the other and then disappeared off the face of the earth, which is why I didn't think we were as far along.
Just key up to that point. You're just like, I didn't know what's happening. Then they brought the film Jigsaw, and you think, okay, how's this going to be? And it's not very good. So can I go for one bit again? Then Chris Rock was talking about writing a Saw film. People going, what's going on with this? Is this a Hadron Collider done something? And then
a black hole has happened. We're living in an alternate universe.
Exactly, because in 2021, during the pandemic type time when you could go to cinema and forget it, but not so much Glasgow.
Yes.
I couldn't see it. So I missed the film because the cinemas and they're shut. It's okay. It tries something a bit different, but it's still a Saw film. And
is it a prequel?
Spin-off.
Right.
I would say. Then sort of 9 Saw films, and you're just like, okay, Saw 10, and you're like, okay, I'm not expecting anything from this at all. I think it's just they're just trying to cash in again.
Yeah.
I was so surprised how good it was.
Wow, okay.
Not even in so bad. I mean, some of the Saw sequence, Saw 7's terrible, but it's fun because the kills and the traps and all that are just nuts. It's so violent and gory. This one, I'm like, it starts and I'm like, okay, where's this going? Where does this go? This is really, really weird. Whoa. And then by the end, you're like, there's a thing about Saw films. You know how Gomorrah, you hear the music kicks in towards the end?
Yeah.
Saw does something very similar. When it leads up to the big twist happening, the music kicks in. At that moment, you know shit's going to go down. So it's quite exciting.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the cinema.
Does your wee heart start fluttering, Simmy?
I was smiling.
Okay, so if anyone sees Simmy in a dark room smiling at the thought of someone potentially getting their head, I don't know, put in a bear fucking trap or something, don't sit next to Simmy in the cinema.
Did you also do Edition?
Yes.
Right, do you remember the bit with the piano wire type thing?
Yes.
There's a scene like that in Saw 10. And
I just think that, like, what worries me is if I had to chop off, like, I don't know, my friend's nose or something to get a key to get out of a bear trap, you know I'm cutting off that bitch's nose. Like, I'm saving me. But that's what I don't like. I don't want to be made to feel selfish.
I'm never going on golden balls with you.
Oh, that's a proper classic. Do you know the thing is, I was laughing in work the other day because there's so many people whose year of birth starts with a 2 that all my cultural references are so out of date. That's another one that I could use and it would be met with blank stares.
to Bullock. Jasper Carrot was in it.
Who? Oh, it's the girl from The Office's dad. The American office. No, the British office. There's a British office. That's exactly how that conversation would go.
It's got thing with it. I can't remember his name now. I've ruined the joke. Let's go to the guy who played Tim, but I can't remember his name. The fucking actor.
Martin Freeman? No, the one.
You're right. I think you could put a gun in my head there. I wasn't going to get that. I called him Paul Owen.
Oh, can I just say, because I'm so bad with names, I think that would be my Saw thing. Like, they'd put me in a room and I had to name 3 actors and I'd be dead by the time.
There's some cracking Saw memes in the round just now, and it's like me when the Saw trap starts, but I've not been listening to the tapes. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the rules are.
100%. Can you repeat? Like, takes gag out of mouth. Can you just repeat what I didn't get the last bit?
There's a scene like that in my scary movie films, and it's really funny because it's just like, no, I don't really get it. He's like leaving us kind of metaphorical things, actually, but I don't understand what you mean. I don't get what's today here.
This all sounds a bit too maths-like for me. I don't have a maths brain.
But that, if you watch the Saw films and that, and you kind of fell away from them, you think it's a great film. And if anything, it's just to go back and watch the first one, because the first one is a classic, in my opinion.
Do you know what, though? It's nice, because there are a lot of people who obviously certain franchises feel very beloved to them, and it's kind of nice in a way that they've got this. It's not just a sequel and you're like, I'm going to see this and I'm just doing it because I like it. It's actually of good quality, and it presumably sort of I mean, how much do you have to have seen the other films to go and see this? Like, could you just go in blind?
You could go in watching this after seeing the first 2, to be honest with you.
Interesting. And what's the one with, because I think the needles is the one that I don't think I can do. Do you know what? I'll happily watch someone be like set on fire or have their skin stripped off or something. The needles in particular, I don't know why, is what gets to me. Because I've seen obviously all the pictures of it, and that makes me feel sick.
Do you know what I was saying? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a wee mid-credit scene that's more fan service than anything, and we'd really appreciate having seen more of them. To be fair, you could go to this film, follow it quite happily. You just wouldn't get the fan service from it.
But do you know what? And it's kind of what we touched on when we were talking about the Marvel Extended Universe and stuff like that. I actually think it's a good thing. Well, for them, obviously, box office wise, it makes complete sense that you should be able to go into this blind. And if you pick up the little Easter eggs and stuff because you've seen 1 or 2 of them, that's great and that's nice. But actually, it's a more strategic decision, I guess, on their behalf to make a film that anyone can go in and watch. But I am glad, because I know that you do like this franchise, so I'm glad that this was worth a watch and not just another sequel. Yeah, do you think they'll do more now that this is done well?
Well, that's the thing. The filmmakers were saying that they've got an idea for the next one, and I'm intrigued by it. I am intrigued by it because, again, if they manage to pull it off in the same way they pulled this one off, it will be worth watching. It'll be interesting, because the thing that really surprised me with this film more than anything is that they actually took some care to make a good film, rather than just let's just think of all the kind of horrible traps we can do and try and build a plot around it. They've actually
I think that's maybe what put me, because as I say, I can deal with some blood and guts to a certain extent, but I think that's perhaps what put me off, is because if it is just a film that's built around, let's think of 7 different ways to mutilate people, there's no point to that, really. It's just, I don't know, ripping people's heads off or whatever. But if there's like a plot to it, and as you say, there's care applied, then I'll happily watch someone get their head ripped off.
And Hoban Bell's brilliant in it. It's a great performance. Arguably, actually, even arguably, it's his best performance in the entire franchise.
Wow, that is high praise indeed. I mean, to get on number 10 in the franchise and you're saying this is the best performance, I think that's no small feat. Is there a particular writer-director team behind this one that's made it work, or is it just a sheer fluke?
I've not even looked much into it since then. I'm going to be quite nosy. Oh, I have this browser open. I mean, I don't think James Wan has actually been involved with it. That's the thing, you forget that James Wan and Lee Wano done this film back in the day, you know. So you've got Peter Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg that wrote it. Josh Stolberg was known for writing the last 2 Saw films, you know.
Wow.
He directed The
And
Hangover.
yet the quality seems to have jumped significantly.
I mean, they wrote Piranha 3D, you know, it's like
No, that's insane.
they wrote Kevin, I'm not going to pronounce his name, Grutert, and he done some of the other Saw films and that. It's like, again, not really. You've got people that are familiar with the franchise at least. But I wouldn't say you've got this, like, it's not like rebooting the Halloween films type idea and bringing in, like, David Gordon Green and things like that, or The Shining, Doctor Sleep, and you're bringing Mike Flanagan in. It's nothing like that, really.
Interesting. Because I would think, I don't know, I almost feel like when franchises like this get a resurgence, almost like the Bond films in a way, kind of. I know it's not the same thing, but it's because a particular writer or director's attached to it and it's sort of breathed new life into it, and that's what makes it work. But if it's actually people that have written before and they just, that's bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know what it is particularly about this film.
It's all worked.
That maybe, do you know what? Maybe they just took more time yet. Maybe they just sat and actually had more care rather than try to churn out a film for the sake of a release date. They went away and thought, do you know what? How can we kind of like
make something that's quite good?
a good film here.
Never underestimate the attempt at trying to make a good film and not just more merch fodder. I was going to say merch fodder. I can't imagine there's much Saw merch, is there? Buy your own bear trap.
Yeah, so the director for this one's been the editor for most of the films. You know, it was a creative consultant on Barbarian, whatever that means.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of... I mean, there's horror elements in Barbarian, but I would say Barbarian's far closer to Cobweb than it is a Saw film.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of the deaths and stuff, do you know what I mean?
I'm just going to check Peter Goldfinger here and see what he's done, because he's not a wiki page, which is always makes you wonder. Yeah, he just seems to be involved in writing the same films as the other guy that looks at it. More or less, like, yeah, Jigsaw, Piranha 3DD. Yeah, a lot of films you're just kind of looking at going, yeah.
Sorry, there's a Piranha film called 3DD.
Yeah.
Is it just a film about fish and tits?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, God.
I mean, pretty much, yeah, it is, exactly. Big Rames is in it again. David Hasselhoff's in it. It's actually more enjoyable than Piranha 3D, in my opinion. It's just...
There you have it, folks. Piranha 3DD is the better film, according to the Moviescramble podcast.
And who directed Piranha 3D?
Oh, God, who? I don't know.
Alexandra Aja.
No chance. Seriously? Okay, that's like when you find out that what's his face? Ben Wheatley directed The Meg 2. My brain just stops fucking working. Yeah,
I mean, then you get like name totally escapes me there, but Mad Max guy done Babe, you know.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
You expect the wee three mice to pop up in the corner of Mad Max and be like, the next chapter.
Aye, or like three mice, like with goggles and that on and big fucking mad killing cars. That's ridiculous. Ah, man. Anyway, come back to me.
George something. It's George something.
Oh, Christ, man. That's ridiculous. I can't get this. John, edited a suit to make me look more like movie buffy than I really am.
Not George something. According to the internet, it's Chris Noonan. George Miller.
George Miller. So George Miller than Mad Max.
Yeah. It was the point of that either. So, as I say, we did get a couple of tweets, and the first one is from someone I may not be married to. So, thank you at Munoz Nitrous RS. And his 5 go-to horror flicks for Halloween are The Exorcist. You'll like this, Simmy. Hellraiser.
Yes.
Jacob's Ladder. Nightmare on Elm Street, and Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which I must admit, the scene with the wood chipper and that still makes me chuckle to this day.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil is one of the most underrated comedy horrors.
It's fucking brilliant.
The wood chipper scene, I was in tears.
Yeah.
Actual tears watching that scene, to the point I think I actually turned it off and made somebody watch it. I was like, you need to watch this film.
So I remember when it was suggested for movie night, I was like, oh, I don't know if I fancy this. And then I was greeting. Like, I genuinely, like, it's so funny, it's so over the top, and it's not obviously an out-and-out horror, but it's so well done.
Even for the bit in, I skip about 10, 20, 30 seconds, a wee bit of spoiler here. It's revealed who the killer is. And there's the bit when like, he comes with the flames, he goes, with the asthma, the inhaler. Sam's gone. That was absolutely wrong.
So just without John on this podcast, you're just going to get me and Sammy corpse and no pun intended, every so often where we reminisce about stupid stuff.
Oh, good picks.
That was good pick.
Mr. Mary.
And the other one was a lovely Cat who's at Catbutt, and she said horror isn't generally my thing. Me neither. But the ones that she really likes are It Part 1. Can't argue with that. Very scared. Jaws, The Crow, Cursed, Interview with a Vampire. She says it counts. I like to think of that as an erotic thriller, but it's Halloween. I will happily watch that. And she also says Scream 1 and 2 as well, because that's a well-loved franchise as well.
So the Scream franchise is really good, and again, I've really enjoyed the last two Scream films. I think it's can I come back?
I loved the most recent one. Loved it.
To be fair as well, I think Scream 4 got overlooked. You go back and watch Scream 4, it's brilliant. It really is. It kind of came and went for much like a fanfare at the time. But yeah, that's a great franchise, Scream. It's just fun.
Yeah, I think in a way, part of me almost can't take it seriously because of the scary movie films, in a way. But as I say, I really like the last one, and I did like the very overt nudge, wink to camera sort of thing that they did in that. I thought that was really well done as well.
I love the bit in 5 when you've got like Ryan Johnson's Stab 6, and it's like Ghostface with a silver mask and machine guns. The fans hate that. That's brilliant.
I was going to say, that sounds like your perfect film. You're like, when are they making that? I want to see that.
Well, interesting. If I know you balked at the trailer, but the Toxic Avenger film that's coming out, the new Toxic Avenger with Peter Dinklage.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't. Thing is, I showed it to Chris, and he was like, "Yes, this looks amazing." I will rewatch the trailer. I will.
Yeah. Any other horror films you've got to suggest?
Do you know what? No, because I think I really like. I've been going back and watching my monster classics at Halloween, which I love doing. What I've found recently about contemporary horror is I do like the slow burn, and I really like a lot of European horror as well. So say like your French, your Let the Right One, and all that sort of thing. Yeah. I find that as much as they are a lot more visceral with their blood and guts, I do feel like there is that sort of. Again, I don't want to say elevated horror, but there is story to it. It's always really well thought through, and I like a slow burn horror. I like Midsummer and stuff like that. Really worked for me as well. I would recommend Midsummer as well. I'd much preferred that to Hereditary. Hereditary I end up laughing at, whereas Midsummer I thought really got under my skin. But I think definitely for me, one thing I am going to set out to try and watch this Halloween is Barbarian Sound Studio, about the cinema that. Things go bump in the night there, and it's like you can't tell the difference between the horror on screen and what's happening in real life, because it's making me think of Prano Bailey Bond's Censor, which I also really, really loved. And if you like a sort of indie British horror, Censor definitely is one to watch as well, actually.
Yeah, I thought Censor was alright. I didn't like it as much as yourself, mind you, but I did like it. Regarding that, talking about European horror though, have you seen The Orphanage?
Yes! Oh God, yeah, how can I forget about that? I love that film.
That's a great film.
I'll give you a laugh. Chris and I were at a theme park when we were in Barcelona, and do you know how they have like haunted houses normally? And they're like, oh, people jumping out like a wee ghost train for kiddies. And this fucking theme park, they had the REC haunted house. Was I fuck going? I've seen that film. I know how it ends. I am never going to. What the fuck? It's like a kiddies theme park.
Do you know the other film as well to watch? The original Spanish.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Again, that was one of those films where I thought I was doing really well, and then I needed an adult nappy because it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why we quick scroll through my letterbox here to see if there's anything else.
And I feel like you're definitely the horror expert here. I very, very rarely watch it, but I do, as I say, I like a wee indie slow burn. I'm okay with a sort of low budget type of.
See if people are looking for a kind of more kind of comedic comedy horror, you're gonna struggle to find a better made one the last year than Renfield.
I still haven't seen that, but I think it's on Prime, isn't it?
Renfield, I wouldn't say it's scary, right, but it's very violent. It's very horror to an extent.
Oh, okay.
Funny. It's so funny.
I mean, the trailer with Nick Cage, you know, as I say, doing his very best, Bela Lugosi had. I mean, I was very, very keen to see it. I can't remember why I didn't at the time, actually, but it'll be going on the watch list.
Indeed. Let's see. Lake Mungo's okay as well. It's a very psychological found footage horror film.
I have seen that. Oh my God, listen to me. I've seen films.
Yeah, you've seen films and horror films of that. Bigfoot Walls, not so much.
Is that on your Letterboxd?
Yeah. Oh, how can I forget Evil Dead Rise?
I've not seen that.
That was really good. But I mean, I'm just talking films that have come out this year, for the most part. But it's been a good year for horror, though. That's the thing. So,
do you know? I would love to see it get. I mean, I go back to, obviously, as I said, my sort of recommendation for a strange double bill was The Two Invisible Mans. I maintain to this day that Elizabeth Moss was robbed of at least an Oscar nomination for The Invisible Man. I am glad that horrors are becoming more sort of prevalent. I don't know if they are, but what I would like to see is them getting the proper recognition, actually, is my point.
Definitely, 100%. In fact, one more recommendation I'll say, actually, because obviously you've got the classics, and I think a lot of the great ones being covered. Then you've got your Nightmare on Elm Street. You've got, the Conjuring, the first Conjuring's great, the second one's really good.
Oh, actually, do you know what? As a franchise, I like the Conjuring. I've not watched the extended universe stuff, but I like the Conjuring films.
Annabelle 2 is great.
Oh, I don't know if I can do creepy dolls.
And it was David Sandberg, I think it was directed that. But yeah, if you're looking for a good laugh this Halloween and you're a fan of the Foo Fighters, Studio 666.
I saw the trailer for that. I didn't realise that was meant to be like a sort of comedy horror.
I loved it. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. The acting from the band will range from, they're actually quite good, to what the hell was going on there? And they just play it straight. And it's
is it like This Is the End? Is it that kind of vibe? No?
I would say that's a good comparison. It's fucking brutal. It's very violent. They don't skimp on the good gory horror parts of it.
Wow.
It's really funny.
Okay.
If you like the Foo Fighters, you'll probably enjoy it because it's fun. And the film wouldn't have worked if it was actors in the roles.
Right.
It
okay.
works because it's them.
And I suppose the sort of amateurish side to it is kind of what lends it the charm. Is it?
The film's got a lot of charm. It's got a lot of charm, and whether you think the acting's good or not. And Dave Grohl's quite good in it. Some of the other guys are good. Pat Smear not so much, but even Pat Smear being terrible in it, it's funny because he's so wooden that it actually makes it amusing.
Oh, part of me isn't she? I do love a sort of so comically bad it's good type of thing as well.
It's just so much fun.
Well, that is our recommendations. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email podcast@moviescramble.co.uk. You can slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. And you can catch the team on Twitter. John is @JohnScramble. Simi, your handle is @Simi41.
Yes, it is.
And mine is @MissAmyPeas. So you're welcome to get in touch with us if you have a short that you'd like us to see in review, or if you want to be on the pod with us and you want to join the fun. As I say, John's not been here to rein us in for this episode, so apologies if most of this has just been Simi and I laughing at stuff that probably isn't funny to you guys. But we've had a good time, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Bye.